Before we get into today's video, everything discussed on this channel is based on public available information, including news reports, court records, and documented sources. The views expressed in these videos are my own personal documentary and opinions. This document is not intended to serve as legal advice or factual conclusions. This channel exists to analyze how stories are presented and how narratives can differ from the documented records. With that being said, let's get into today's case. All right. I need you to really think about this for a second. How does someone with no clear financial background, no public company, no transparent business model, end up in private jets, multiple mansions, and connections to some of the most powerful people in the world? How? And not just for a few years, for decades. And then, after being accused for serious crimes, he gets a deal that most people would never get. And then, years later, he's arrested again and dies in custody before the trial even happens. Yeah, that's why this case never sat right with anyone. Because the more you look at it, the more it feels like something doesn't add up. Today, we're breaking down the full timeline from the beginning to where things stand now in 2026, separating what's documented, what's misunderstood, and what people feel in themselves. This is Reality Distortions. Jeffrey Epstein was born in 1953 in Brooklyn, New York. He grew up in middle-class environment, and nothing about his early life suggests that the level of wealth that he would later have. He later worked as a math teacher without a college degree. Now think about that. Think about that. It's not typical at all. But that's where everything begins to shift because those connections are what brings him into finance. Epstein later described himself as someone managing money for wealthy clients, but even years later, there was a little clarity about how he built his wealth. He had private island, multiple luxury homes, private jets, and this is where you stop to think. How did no one question this more? Epstein built relationships with powerful people. Important clarification though, associations does not mean involvement in crime. But what stands out is how easily he moved in those circles. And looking back, people start asking, how was this not questioned more? In 2005, police began investigating allegations involving Epstein. Evidence suggested a pattern. At this point, a major case seemed likely. But that's not what happened. In 2008, Epstein reached a plea agreement. He served only 13 months with work release. Let that sink in. Like, what? He avoided federal charges, and this is where trust breaks. Because people ask, how does someone accused of this get that outcome? In 2019, Epstein was arrested again, and this time federally. The case gained national attention. He was found unresponsive in his jail cell. The official ruling was suicide, unalive himself. But procedural failures were documented though. And this is where everything shifts. Let's do a distortion check. The internet says this proves a cover-up. The official investigation says unalive himself. But what's documented? Failures, what's not proven, conspiracy, suspicion exists, evidence matters. Ghislaine Maxwell, I'm sure I am butchering her name. She was arrested in 2020, convicted in 2021, sentenced in 2022. The case continued. The Epstein files are court documents. Being named does not equal guilt. This is where distortion spreads. This case is about more than one person. It's about power, trust, and institutional failure. When trust breaks, people fill in the gaps. And that's where distortion begins. If you made it this far, I want you to think. Do you think the system failed here? Or do you think people are reading too much into it? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you want more breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications. Separate the narrative from the record. This is Reality Distortion.